Beverly Hills. 1 year later, this is all that is left of what once was billed as the showplace of the nation. There was nothing quite like it outside Las Vegas. Las Vegas. When the smoke began rolling into the cabaret room, panic set in. It was a night of horror.
It's getting the temperature, it's dropping. The Beverly Hills Supper Club. I did not know actually anything about this place before my Aunt Jenny had talked to me about it and said there was a huge disaster there, 165 deaths. So instantly I was intrigued. I had to go check it out.
The word we get from the top of the hill is that it's a complete ball of fire on the inside. There's very little hope of saving anything.
The Beverly Hills Supper Club was a high-end venue for parties and weddings, and where individuals like Frank Sinatra would come and hang out and perform.
Fly me to the moon.
You're not looking at the leaf.
I am looking at the f***ing leaf.
Go. Alright, we're here at the Beverly Hills Supper Club, Southgate, Kentucky. There's a gate blocking what used to be the entrance. You get a very eerie feeling walking up to this place. There's memorial plaques and flowers for the people that had died there. It's actually the 40-year anniversary, believe it or not. This happened in 1977.
And we're nearing the 40th anniversary of one of the worst fire disasters in American history. 165 people were dead. 165. And hundreds of others were injured.
Just a row of people laid out on the hillside. 99, I think I counted.
On May 28, 1977, the Beverly Hills Supper Club was operating beyond capacity.
Well, listen to the boys singing. Oh, you sound like sissies.
Largely due to the popularity of that evening's cabaret room. This show, featuring popular Hollywood singer and actor John Davidson. Based on the number of its exits, the cabaret room could safely accommodate around 600 people. According to the calculations of the fire marshal, on this night it was packed well beyond that capacity, with people seated on ramps and in the aisles. According to later estimates, the number of people in the cabaret room at 9 p.m. on May 28th was somewhere between 900 and approximately 1,300. Now, how did this fire start? Faulty wiring. Governor Julian Carroll's report on the fire called the club's wiring an electrician's nightmare and alleged multiple wide-ranging code violations. And H. James Amen, who inspected the fire site at the request of the local attorney Stan Chesley, a year and a half later said, "I cannot believe that any of this was ever inspected." Some conspiracists contend that mobsters set the Beverly Hills Supper Club on fire because the Richard Schilling family refused to sell the Southgate showplace to them. The Schillings had turned the supper club into a thriving, high-class entertainment and gourmet dining night spot, and the mob wanted a piece of the action.
Say hello to my little friend.
I almost think that there was more to it than just faulty wiring. Members of the mafia had been trying to buy the nightclub back because it was so lucrative, and they had owned it before, and it had been very lucrative, and they had gambling there, illegal gambling, and they had the nightclub too. So when he wouldn't sell it, I almost think that it was very possible that in a revenge type mode, that someone might have said it.
The area walking up the driveway to where the building used to be is very overgrown, and the pavement is very broken up. And where the building once was, there are a bunch of trees and growth of vegetation. It's hard to really get a picture of where the building was because it doesn't look like there was anything ever there besides the trees and stuff that are growing now.
All right, as we're walking around the supper club, you get this very weird feeling, not necessarily supernatural, just knowing what was there, what happened there, the tragedy that occurred, and how everything was just demolished and left behind. You look at the ground, there's still silver from like silverware laying on the ground. There's items of clothing, there's shoes. There was a safe in the middle of the woods. Just very creepy feelings that you get when you're walking around at the supper club.
I mean, I was glad that no one I knew had been involved in it, because I did know people that used to go there, nurses and doctors that I knew that I babysat for. Used to go almost every weekend, or it was a big night out for them. Maybe not every weekend, but they would go a lot.
As you walk around and see the pictures and just leftover items from the building or even a random shoe, it gives you an eerie feeling.
There were 3 exit doors in the cabaret room. The fire started in the zebra room, and there had been a wedding reception there earlier, just minutes earlier, and they had left at 8:30 complaining of heat. And the heat had been getting so intense in that room that the wedding cake had actually toppled over a little bit sideways. So they left early, about 8:30, and the fire wasn't spotted or even smelled until about 9 o'clock. And so a couple of employees smelled the smoke and opened up the door, and that's what fed the fire. Once they opened up the door, the oxygen rushed into the room, and it was like a flash fire.
The deadly fire is the 3rd worst nightclub fire in American history. The temporary morgue was set up down the road at the Fort Thomas Armory, where the family members searched for their loved ones for days. This ghastly devastation brought on the first class action lawsuit of a disaster in American history and merged over 300 claims against the nightclub. Attorney Stan Chesley took this case even though the money pool seemed limited.
Then they seem to have done a flip-flop from that and have now come up with a conclusion as to where the fire started, but they have it back with no documentation, no laboratory analysis, and no test.
No laboratory analysis and no test. No test.
He then won a court order to stop demolition of the nightclub to gather evidence. He came up with the idea to sue entire industries, which is known as enterprise liability. He sued 21 manufacturers of aluminum wiring products, even taking on the renowned General Electric Company. After years of litigations, GE settled for a $10 million settlement, as well as other companies reaching around $30 million. If it's possible anything good could come from such a horrid tragedy, it would be that the blaze led to strict changes in fire code enforcements and improvements in product safety.
And it was painfully obvious that hospital care was too late for scores of people.
So where I work, I drive by Southgate, Kentucky every day. And as you look up on the hill, there's a memorial of Jesus standing up there with his arms. And I never knew what it was. I just thought there might be a church or something around the area. Come to find out it's actually a memorial.
So I have this PSB-7 box, which basically allows spirits or what have you to communicate with you using the energy from the station breaks flushing through the radio stations. So basically they take the power from the white noise and they can manipulate it, and in theory they can speak through this box. You need to put batteries in it.
She's squatting. A phone. I found a mushroom.
Oh crap, the mic was off the whole time.
The whole time? The whole interview? I'll kill you.
There's so many mosquitoes in the forest. What's your name? What's your last name, Zach? How long have you been here?
I was skeptical at first because I didn't quite understand the concept of the voices carrying between the frequency. Even if it was radio station voices that were somehow connecting, how could they possibly answer any of our questions or say any of the words we've asked them to say, like banana?
Can you say the word banana?
Jack, did you die in the fire here?
He actually said his name maybe 3 or 4 times. The one that I'm showing to you is the clearest. There was nobody named Zach out of the 165 victims. I can't really explain it. I don't know if, it's like a residual energy that happened to be there, if there was a car wreck, or it was just absolute coinky-dinky. You just never know.
What are our names?
Jody.
Why are you mad?
I don't like doing this.
How did you guys die?
You hear all that?
How do we help?
I said whatever.
So how did you guys die again?
Why don't you move on?
Is it peaceful on the other side?